I was in Britain, and it was the early days of the journey, so we were talking 23 years ago. One man who was a businessman, he actually ended up getting a massive healing through the journey. And he said to me, you know, I would like to bring you and take you on tour all over Britain so that, you know, Britain could get this work that not only allows for cellular healing, but emotional healing, and it heals your life. I went on this tour, and I'd made a financial agreement. I entered into a contract with him that I ended up doing 28 intros all around Britain, and I would be paid £2,000 speaker's fee for the 2 intensive I was doing. And then after expenses were paid for the intensives, then I would get half of what remained. And so I was there in Britain for 3 months, and at the end of that time, he told me that he'd spent so much money on the intros that there was no money left. And even though I had paid for all of my own expenses while I was there, that I was going to be leaving Britain with no money at all. And finally, he was also taking all of my private therapies, the credit cards from that. And so finally I got him to agree to give me £2,000. And I had a ticket that was a round the world ticket where I was going to stop through India to meet an enlightened master Punjaji in Lucknow. And I was taking Kevin, my now husband, but then just my business partner. And truthfully, he got freaked out about, you know, hygiene and bugs and stuff. And so he decided he would make our green smoothies every morning, and he was washing all the vegetables in disinfectant solution, and he was putting our super greens, you know, that green powder with protein and spirulina and wheatgrass in it, into our super green drink. And so after, you know, several weeks in India, we flew back to the United States, and the most bizarre thing happened. My stomach began to gurgle like I had a beer belly or something, and then I began to break out in sores on my face, which was beginning to concern me. And we'd come back on this round-the-world ticket, and we'd stopped in Hawaii. We were on Maui, and I was getting concerned about these sores. And so one morning I got ready to make the you know, green smoothie. And I looked at this can of green smoothie. I opened the lid and I looked at it, and it began to move. The powder began to move. And there were parasites in it. Now, I'm not stupid. Of course, I called a medical doctor right away, one that practiced the integrative medicine, and went to go see him. And he said, you, obviously, I brought with me the super green powder for my smoothie, and he could see it was moving as well. And he said, you have got, you know, tropical parasites. And he said, I don't think there's any herb I can give you that can kill them. You know, I'm not even sure if I gave you a nuclear bomb of antibiotics, whether they could kill them. And you might have to go to a parasite clinic in New York City where they deal with these tropical parasites, because if it goes into your liver, it could be very, very dangerous for you. And he said, and I said, well, I don't want the nuclear bomb of antibiotics, but would you at least give me herbs? So now here I have this thing where it's on the outside. You know, we can see the parasites, and they're coming. I've eaten them, and they're now coming out of my skin in these sores. And I get back, and I'm taking the herbs, and after 24 hours of taking the strongest herbs he had, I wasn't getting a result. And finally I turned to Kevin, and I said, well, I know that we can see these bugs, you know, but why don't we do a physical journey? And guess what happened? We went inside to where all this gurgling was happening inside my stomach, and the cell memory I came to was that memory of this businessman who had promised to pay me a very small fee for 3 months of being in Britain, who wasn't even able to pay that. And I had felt like all those people came to this seminar and that they were living off of me, that I actually paid them to come to my seminar. And I had a consciousness of feeling lived off of. And it was almost like I was saying to life, come one, come all, anything that wants to live off of me, just, come. Now, you have to know that Kevin was having those same green smoothies, but guess what? He didn't get parasites. They just were ejected. But I'd created internally a hotbed that allowed them to proliferate inside of me. And when I finally got this businessman into the process, and I wanted to find out what was really going on, his wife was pregnant with his first child. He had to pay all the employees in his own business. And if it came down to paying me the agreed fee, or paying his company and taking care of his wife, who was soon to give birth to a child, he chose that. And as a mother, I could understand that. And that allowed me to finally be able to forgive him for feeling like I'd been used, actually, lived off of. I'd given my life's blood, my blood, sweat, and tears, and had received no energetic exchange for that. Well, the process was over, and I'd forgiven completely. And my sores began to dry up. Now, it took a week, and they completely dried up from the outside to the in, and about 4 weeks later, I still had pink, little scars remaining, and I still have a couple of them left over, where I covered that up with makeup, but even when it's something that you get from the outside, suppose that there is a consciousness inside of you that allows that to happen.